Howdy ho, everyone. How you doing? My name is Sharon Combs with UCDI Leadership, Do Something Daily LLC. And tonight we are going to talk about W.I.L.D, the pandemic, which is what I learned during the pandemic. I'm excited to be joined by Sharon Greene-Golden, Karen Cherry, Lila Price, and Lorraine Perkins. And so please place your questions inside there. Anything from, if you want to know contact time, how long does a certain virus stay on a certain type of surface, to, what about PPE? Will we have to look for masks again? To emotional intelligence. Anything you want to know, please ask those questions. Please feel free to share the video. Lorraine Perkins will be driving this conversation today. And so, sir, I'm going to just defer to you and say, how y'all doing today?
I'm fine, thank you.
Excellent. Great.
Really, really good. Really good. You know what? I'm just so excited to be joined by some inspiring, powerful women and authors at that. So I want to talk about your book. I want to know some insight. I want to know the mental space you were in when you wrote the book. What are your goals for the book? So let's get right into it. Lila, this first one's for you.
Okay.
Where were you mentally when you decided to? What inspired you to write this book?
Well, we had been talking and making these discussions. I had done knowledge or nonsense for a couple months at this point, and when the topic was brought up about writing a book, I was extremely humbled. But I knew that there were so many things that I wanted to discuss, and so many things that I had seen, that I felt that I just had to put it down in writing, right? I needed to get that and express it and put it forward. So what I decided was I was going to take some time, and I hadn't taken a vacation in a while, because when the pandemic hit, it kind of hit, and it was just like, everybody needs to be there, all hands on deck. So when things kind of subsided, that was when I said, okay, now I need to put my thoughts together and go write. So I had took a week and a half off from work. I had put things in place for my children, and I sat and reflected on all the things that I noticed and needed that opportunity to kind of just express, like, we shouldn't do this. And I realized that not everybody has my expertise, and not everybody that is in the field that I'm in. So they don't know. What you don't know, you don't know, right? And so you have to be able to be patient with people and explaining that these precautions and things that we're talking about are real. And we fight against disease and bacteria all day, every day in our function of our job. But that's not general. The general public doesn't do that. And I felt it was so important for them to understand why we're talking about, common things like just cross-contamination, washing your hands. These are things that we do all the time, but, paying attention to 20 seconds. I think that was one of the things that really got some people, like 20 seconds, like 20 seconds. You need to sit there with agitating them as well. So I think it was just an opportunity to really bring forth the things I talk about on a routine basis with people coming into the field, technicians, as my role as an educator, but also speaking to people that really just wanted some insight, that were family members, friends, people that I walked up to in the grocery store, and and it was a place for me to put that information out there, because there were things I didn't know. I probably know more about masks now than I ever would need to know in a lifetime, but I'm sure it's not enough in the grand scheme of things, as we're going into this surge again. And people still aren't prepared, right? They still don't have what they need to do this.
Right. Powerful. Miss Cherry, I think what was so amazing, this is now your fourth or fifth book that you authored.
Fourth.
What? Why? Why another book? Why now?
Well, these phenomenal women that are on the panel, and speaking with them. And to me, it was that black hole every day, watching the news day in, day out, where and reading social media, where you saw the fear in everyone, even people in healthcare. As Lila said, the people that have been in healthcare forever. Well, this was something brand new to everyone. And so any information that someone could share with someone, whether it was the best information or not, everybody was just hanging on to a thread of trying to get some information. And so as we collectively gathered information, I just felt that it was really important that we shared what we had with other people, not knowing at the time that we wrote the book that COVID was going to rear its head even more, even though you heard when flu season comes, you know, when wintertime comes, we'll probably go through this wave again. Well, you know, we're, for the most part, optimistic, hopeful people that said, well, maybe not COVID, but we knew that there would be another pandemic. So to be able to get out information, but this is actually a great time for the book to be released, because as we see, I was looking today when we wrote the book, there were 115,000, a little over 115,000 cases for deaths, and today is 245,000. So yeah, and steady climbing, you know. So that was the purpose of writing the book.
Gotcha. Miss Greene-Golden, question for you. You've been around the world and back. You're in several circles of who's who in sterile processing and many other factors of healthcare. How did you find a time to lend your expertise to this book, and what's the outcome? What are you trying to achieve?
Well, you know, I actually had. They say we have certain things inside of us. And once COVID started and people in the field of sterilization practices started acting just totally crazy, I decided that we needed to help our professionals. I actually kept saying, I got to write a book. I got to write a book. And to be with our group P4, I didn't feel that I could write the book by myself. And in today's thing, it's easier to get together and co-author. And if you get subject matter experts that talk about their area of expertise, it makes it so much easier. But I wanted to put a story out that we as sterile processing professionals should have been prepared. This is what we do every day. Yeah. I was okay with EBS acting crazy. I was okay with the kitchen couldn't figure out how to get the soup in the bowl. I could not understand why my peers were going around saying, I can't come to work. We got COVID. And so as I do my blog, the view from my window was very crowded, because I was like, we're crazy. And we need to share. Apparently, you cannot keep it to yourself. You have to share it with the masses. I was not in an emerging country. I was in America.
Yeah.
And in America, we were looking like, I had SPD techs telling me, I don't think I'm going to be able to come back to work. And I'm like, you've been coming with hepatitis. What's wrong with you? And so, you know, it was just a sharing thing. And to be with 3 other phenomenal women who were willing to put time into this project that we kept close to our heart and did this book. We talked to each other every week, 2-3 times a week, but we didn't talk to nobody else. To know that we have each other's back in the profession to keep this together, to get it out. I'm excited. I'm just proud. And I'm proud to be a part of P4.
So Wayne, P4, Power 4.
Gotcha. I can tell you this, and this one's for Sharon Combs. I talk to Sharon a lot. So when I saw a book come out, I'm like, wow, where did this come from? It came from left field. There was no heads up. So you absolutely, one thing you are subject matter experts at is keeping secrets. I can tell you that. That's been tight-lipped, close to brow. I consider Sharon Combs a serial entrepreneur. I told her this before. How did you find the time, space, and just mental capacity to write another book?
For me, first off, Sharon Greene-Golden, we were doing things like knowledge and nonsense, and Sharon was like, listen, we need to, so she did spearhead this. Greene-Golden, kudos to you. She spearheaded, she brought the idea to us, and I was like, what? I get to write a book with Sharon Greene-Golden. She taught people from Turkey to Tanzania. She traveled the world teaching about this. But it wasn't so much as finding the time. I wanted to help our community. You know, when COVID came to America, Sharon, we laughing like people are crazy, but for a moment, people lost their minds. You remember the toilet paper? They treated it like it was a land rush. People going in there really trying to get toilet paper and like, what's going on? For just a moment, people really, you could tell fear and uncertainty was hitting people. We joke about it, but in that mindset, fear and uncertainty were hitting people, and people were breaking. They didn't know what to do because this is America. We're not really used to that. We're used to helping countries like that, but we're not really used to having to deal with that on a day-to-day. And so when Sharon brought that up, I was like, immediately, human behavior is what I love, and I want to help people in the community. I want to help people in the department and out of the department. And so you make time to help.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And make sure people have right information, which is the basis for knowledge and nonsense anyway. Knowledge and nonsense. Why are you going stocking up on toilet paper? That's kind of nonsense. I understand fear is a driver there, but let's be more informed about our decision making. And so I put it on the calendar. That mean that we had some late night calls, and we didn't want to put a bunch of opinion in there. We wanted to give people things that they could use for the next pandemic. Like Karen said, little did we know that cases would be doing what it's doing now, that we thought we may have been on the other side of transition, but we're finna go back in it for just a little bit. But hopefully, definitely within this book, there are real tools that people can use inside the department and outside of the department to help them navigate, whether you work in sterile processing or not. So I just found the time. We did some late night meetings,
right?
We did some weekend stuff, but
some commitment, a lot of commitment. So I know we're getting, we're in the midst of a pandemic, and this is a heart-to-heart, honest conversation. I know in many portions of my community, we simply didn't take this thing serious enough soon enough. Karen, what are your thoughts on that? Do you think, and from your point of view, from your state of being, did we take this serious?
I'm going to say no. And I'm going to say, initially I was one of those people that I hear somebody laughing about it because people, I remember my cousin saying, and expecting, fall over because some guy in another country had fallen over from COVID, just like that, walking down the street. So she was joking about it. And so I'm like, let me Google what COVID is, because I have no idea what she's talking about. I don't want to sound non-intelligent. And then I thought, well, that's scary. But no, I didn't think about it, even when they started talking about cases here. Again, well, I don't know what that is, and I don't know if that serious. Then when I realized how serious it was a little, it was a little late to have started doing all the things that I should have been doing, probably with making sure somebody when they come in my house that my doorknobs were washed off and this, that, sanitized or whatever, disinfected. But no, I don't think so, because you still, even when cases were really high earlier this year, you still see all the people at the beaches and graduations, people fighting about, no, we're going to have our graduation parties, and yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we actually got a good question from Crystal Renee. In your professional opinions, why was it so easy for COVID to be politicized to the point where seemingly highly intelligent people don't believe that it's real or its impact is real? Ms. Greene-Golden, what do you think about that?
I think that you have two types of people in this world. You have the people that you can intelligently say the sun is going down and they believe you and they get prepared for bed. You have the others that stay outside until it's completely dark. Or you have the children who you can say the stove is hot, don't touch it, and they'll go away. But you always got that one child that has to put their hand on the stove and burn it. And then they say, yes, it's hot. But some of them will come back and burn their hand a second time because they're not real sure that their hand got burned because they touched the stove. People in America, we have so many freedoms that we tend to take the freedoms for granted, and we're intelligent, and we don't differentiate between common sense, facts, and untruths. And so we were in a spot in this world for the last 3 years where we've been dealing with fake news. And we had the head of the country telling us, Don't worry about no COVID. That's fake news. The people made it to try to make me look bad. So those people who were crazy and did not remember the swine flu, N1H1, just a little while back, Zika, they were willing to go with that thought. It's not true. And you know, we have people coming to the hospital now that still say, I don't think I got COVID. And they're dying. And they're dying with COVID and they don't believe they have COVID. What do you think you have? You've been around the earth 20, 30, 40, 60 years, and now you have something that you don't know where it came from. You're just sick. They're putting, and a nurse told me, until you put them on the vent, they don't believe it. And it's the times in which we live. We don't know what to believe. We don't know what's true. We don't know what's fake. And so people have a tendency to go with what they consider the lesser of two evils. It's not true.
Wow. It's a very important statement you said. Now, I know for a fact that with the media, there was different levels of news being propagated and different types of rumors that some took as factual. I can tell you, in many parts of the African American and brown communities, we were told that COVID didn't affect us. Do you remember this? That we were immune from somehow just because we're melanated.
Right.
We couldn't get sick.
Right.
That's
a myth.
I was gonna say the book actually addresses that. It addresses some of the myths, like but again, from the human behavior. That's what I love about this book. It's not four of us saying the same thing over and over. We literally went shoulder to shoulder and back to back. So what Sharon Greene-Golden addressed, I didn't address. Lila addressed some things on education. Karen, as far as being a business owner, even within sterilization, that field, and with me hitting the emotional intelligence and the transition stages. But I talked about disinformation and how disinformation is a real thing that people use. I open it up and then we talk about the channels of disinformation. Disinformation is intentional, but there are these other parts of disinformation, which is rumor, misinformation. And one of them there was a myth. I remember Waka Flocka. He's a rapper that a lot of people listen to. He has millions of followers on social media. And he came out and said, Black people can't get this. Now he has no epidemiology. He doesn't have any sterilization. What he has is a beat and a hook. Put the hook on that. That's what he has. So it's something that makes you nod your head. And so you out there nodding your head and inhaling those aerosols and then wondering why, then next thing you know, somewhere you like, oh, it's real. Yes, it's real. And so I saw a lot of people really did believe that. And kudos to Oprah for having a show where she was. But we talk about that in the book, like just some of the myths, like young people can't get it. Right now, over a million young people, like it's children, have caught COVID. There's a lot of disinformation out there. And, again, you want to be able to go to a credible source of information. You have to pick what's going to be your credible source, not what just says what you say, not something that makes you feel good. Like, oh, they said I'm right, so I'm going to go with them. No, if I'm wrong and me being wrong, somebody telling me I'm wrong is going to save my life. Even if I don't die, save my livelihood, my money, where I can take care of the things I need to take care of. Please, somebody love me enough to bring me that truth.
You gotta check your leaders.
The sad part is that we people of color have the short end of the stick on everything. We get diabetes, high blood pressure, we got all kinds of issues. What made us think this wouldn't take us out? Everything else takes us out. We're so diverse in our bodies. You think about all the mixtures and all the cultures that make African Americans today. It seems like we got the bad end of everything. And so to sit back and think that a disease would come in and say, not y'all, was just crazy.
Well, you know what, Sharon, Ms. Greene-Golden, the rumors was blatant ignorance, but I did hear some valid points. We have been so resilient, and we've seen COVID, not the disease, but crisis 10 times this magnitude that only impacted Black and brown communities. And though we met the highest demise, we still managed to make it through. But I have to tell folks, this is a different beast. You know, Karen, in your professional viewpoint, does COVID discriminate?
No. As a matter of fact, when you had asked the question about taking it serious, I went to it was a house blessing, one of my church members, and I was there invited there to read a scripture, and then the guy I sat next to was invited to bless the house. And less than 2 weeks later, I'm on a Zoom conference with my Sunday school because the whole state shut down right after that, and they announced that he was dead from COVID. So no. It definitely doesn't discriminate.
Wow. Lila, one thing we have in common was that we came up in the church, and I think you're, publicly known, your father's a preacher.
Yes.
How, in your opinion and your background and your fortitude in your community, how could Black churches in general could have responded differently in your opinion?
Well, I think that we definitely should have been more responsible in the distancing and the promoting of being safe, because people's safety should always be at the forefront of anything that we do, especially something that we do from a giving, charitable, any of those scriptures that we follow in regards to love thy neighbor and things of that nature. So if I'm loving you and as I love myself, I should be protecting you and myself from all things. And if they're telling us that a simple thing like a mask over my face is going to protect you and protect me, absolutely, let's do that. And I think that there should have just been more resources, because when I hear that, that disparity between the community, my people, here we are, we're dying and getting infected at a more proportional rates than others. It goes back to those myths, right? And that knowing the knowledge versus the nonsense and being able to dispel what is important to our people. And I just wish we had more resources available. When I saw, I work for a hospital that was getting in donations because it's a bigger name, right? So we were getting donations from everything. Now, did we need donations? No, but what would have been the better responsibility? Should we have donated those to other organizations and taken them to a nearby church or a community center to be able to give out masks? Because I don't think that anyone should not be able to have a mask. Someone should not be able to enter into the Rite Aid or any store in their neighborhood and be shooed away because they don't have a mask on right away. There should just be masks at the door, right? Or there should be disinfectant wipes and things of that nature. And in some places you see it, and in some places you don't. And in the urban community which I live in the Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, there's disparities. I can travel a few miles outside of this area, this radius, and see a difference. And I actually counted this the other day because I said I'm going to talk about this when I get an opportunity too. But I only went about 1.5 miles away from my home, and I literally counted, 36 people without a mask on.
Wow.
Outside, because, that's you can be outside and breathe in the air and COVID won't touch you. People say it all the time to me, and apparently people believe it. So it's just one of those things. I'm just like, and that's my community. I live here. I interact with these people every day. We walk to the same stores and are with each other and commute the same places, go to the same banks, and travel in the same public transportation system. And here we are believing that something cannot touch us, or we're beyond it now because it's been 8 months, or, because there's a time limit apparently on COVID too that I didn't know about. So there's just things that is disparity. And it's hard because you would think that in our communities, we would be more proactive when it comes to taking care of our health, but we're still behind. And those are some of those social economic things that I just feel that we still don't reach.
Just amazing. Just amazing.
Our churches in general didn't do their due diligence.
Mm-hmm.
They had the ear of the people, and they should have stood up sooner and said, stay home.
Yes.
We've been learning in the building for years, and my father was a pastor, that God is everywhere. So whatever your religious belief was, whether you be a Christian, whether you be a Muslim, whether you have Kabbalah, we all believe in a greater being that has control. And had they stood up sooner and said, listen, stay home. We can do Zoom. We can do telephone conferences. You can pray at home. The church is a building.
Amen.
Don't come in this building, because we cannot protect you in the building. You know, most African American churches have volunteers cleaning. And you know, when people volunteer, they don't always give their whole 100%. I told the pastor, I can't come back to church because the volunteer, I don't know. He might have done 2 chairs and not the chair I'm sitting in. So the bottom line is, my church denomination, the bishop finally stood up and said, listen, we closing the churches. We're closing the churches. You have to understand, we're in America, and a lot of things are tied to money, money. And people were scared to shut down things because of money. People were in the field of sterilization, didn't want to come to work, and were busy trying to find out how to get to their unemployment because they were going to leave the job because of the COVID. So with the non-information, when you ask the question, what could the churches have done? They could have been more proactive and stood up and said, hey, I'm going to call you on the phone.
Can we I want to do just a short break. Is that okay, Lorraine? And then when we come back, can we answer Crystal's question about the mask?
Absolutely.
That's a good question.
Okay, I'll bring it back up. Let's take a quick little question.
Awesome. Welcome back. So, Sharon, go ahead.
Crystal just asked, and I wanted to ask this question because someone I know asked me this personally. She was like, well, if the mask doesn't protect me, why do I have to wear the mask? And so Crystal asked, are masks really protecting us? I will be honest, I've had to use a mask that was on the floor of my car before. And I know I'm not the only one. No, I bet you're not. I bet a lot of people have a mask that they've been hanging onto for about a month, just wearing it because they don't know. And it says, what are your thoughts on the viability of masks as a real protection? And so I'm just going to say there are different type of masks, and then I'm going to be quiet and let some of these sterilization subject matter experts speak.
Absolutely. So we can all jump in here. So one, Crystal, the disposable surgical masks filter out about 60% of air droplets. But there's actually now some articles you can find online that they're putting all type of face coverings into a mask category, right? And they have 9 different categories. And one category of a mask, which is truly not a mask, is a bandana, believe it or not. And you see people walking around and so with bandanas, some with scarves, some with the outdoor doozies. They wear the thing that they pull from the neck up. So not all masks are created equal, right? Surgical grade masks will filter out 60% of air droplets. And if you just Google N95 mask, it's N95 because it filters out 95%. But there's a huge scale between those surgical masks, N95s, and higher. They have masks higher than N95. So they do work. They do have a certain purpose. But if you go back to our last show, I want Ms. Greene-Golden to speak about who are the masks truly protecting, me or you?
The mask. So I want to say, mask protect you from me, and understand they didn't just say wear a mask. They said stay away. Put the mask on and put 6 feet between me and you.
Mhm.
And so where we've gotten it twisted is we got a mask on and we sitting up under each other. So no, you're not going to get the protection. The other thing is all masks, as he said, are not created equal. You have level 1, level 2, level 3. You run around with the synthetic mask, the cotton mask. All of the synthetic and the cotton mask are reusable. Tell you to wash it when you get back in the house. So if you put the mask on, you went outside. When you come back in, you're supposed to wash that one and get another one. So it's not a miracle thing, but it is a help. We've been wearing masks in surgeries for years to protect the patient from us, from what I got. So my mask protects you from me. Your mask protects me from you. And with the social distance, we may not contract COVID. COVID has been proven to linger in the air for many minutes after you've coughed. You walked away. Here I come along without my mask on, run right through all of your sneeze. So you need to put the little mask on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I hope that answered your question, Crystal. Here's another important topic that I know I have friends suffering from this, and they're calling it mask knee, like acne, but mask knee. People getting bumps and facial lesions from masks. So that also tells you now that not all masks are created equal. Had a friend that's allergic to latex, and guess what her mask was made of, right? Latex. So she's walking around with a continual allergic reaction.
It is a hazard of the job. I actually broke out. It's been 3 weeks now, because we were never intended to wear masks 8, 9, 10, 12 hours a day. We were supposed to put the mask on, do what you had to do, take it off, and move on. So to wear a mask continually on your face, and different masks have different components in it. My face, I had to go to the dermatologist, and she said I had contact dermatitis due to overwearing of a mask. That did not stop me from wearing my mask. She gave me some ointments, and I slap them on my face, and she said wear the cloth mask first and the paper mask on the outside of that to help your face not be so sensitive. But I'm putting on all the masks. If that means I got to wear 5, I got to wear 5. But the bottom line is I'd rather have on 5 masks, and I would technically rather have a rash on my face and 5 masks than have COVID and be dead.
Good point. Good point. So after reviewing your Sharon, I have a question for you that I was just stuck on. Please explain to the audience, to the viewers, to me, what is cognitive dissonance? And please make it plain. Don't use, Sharon uses some words. I gotta ask Google.
All right. Cognitive dissonance is what we have an epidemic of in America. Cognitive dissonance is where we have something that is clear fact in front. This is clearly factual and clearly true. And we say, yeah, but not for me. That's as layman terms as I can make it. Cognitive dissonance is if you drink 7 sodas and eat 16 pieces of cake every day, you may go into, you may run into diabetes or some type of heart disease. Or if you eat nothing but pork all day long every day, and then you say, but I ain't gonna get heart disease. That's cognitive dissonance. It's where you know smoking is bad for you. You know it's bad for you. Not you don't know. You actually know it's bad for you, but you're still smoking. And so that means you are cognitive, means you're aware. Cognitive, how I think about it. I know this is popping off. This is what it is. It is what it is. And the dissonance, the discord is, but I'm gonna still do what I do anyway. You know what I mean? I know I ain't supposed to drink and drive, but not me. I can. So what we have with that is, and I use that term because, and I try to make it funny and make it plain, but here we know people are getting sick. And we still say, well, I'm not gonna wear a mask. we know they said, it's highly the transmission rate is higher than most viruses, but we
Right.
still want social distance. We say things like, well, I'm just running in the store right quick. Like that makes a difference how fast you run in the store. It's not about speed. Well, I was only in there for a second, but it doesn't matter. Or it's only connected with 4 people today, but you don't know who those 4 people connected with, and so you didn't social distance. So that's what cognitive dissonance is. And with what I learned in the pandemic is, you said make it plain. What I learned in the pandemic is we are so blessed in America, and we're such a prosperous country that we don't know how to live with limitations. That's one of the best things I can say about coming up poor and coming up without, is like limitations that are driving other people crazy. And they like, the sky is falling. I'm like, no, Chicken Little, it's not falling. But because we're so blessed in America, we don't know how to live with limitations. And so we just say the limitations are not there.
Gotcha.
You understand what I'm saying?
That makes sense. That makes
cognitive dissonance is where you are completely aware of something, and then you clearly say, but it's not.
That makes sense. Hey, Karen, Lisa Dove Washington had a question. How do we get people to understand that what they do absolutely affects others and can have a direct impact on everyone else? How do we get people to?
It's funny. It's kind of like I was looking at that question, but then what Sharon was saying, as far as it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And I think it's just through statistics, unfortunately, where we were saying, Sharon Greene-Golden was saying, as a leader, you hear someone say that is fake news, and so trying to get someone to understand that, yeah, this is real. I mean, it was easy enough for me because I was on my back for 6 weeks. By the time I did get to see the doctor, I'm saying with respiratory, I couldn't breathe. I was on humidifier, I was on inhaler, and by the time I did go get COVID tested, they said that I didn't have it, that I was negative. But I know this is not how my body has been, and so I think it's just saying, look around. Someone that has something going on. Maybe someone that that knows someone. But yeah, this is real. So as far as, I don't know any other way, LaWayne, than to keep saying. So if you don't do it, if you don't wear your mask, we know that things aren't going to get better. So let's try to do the mask, our hands, and all of us together is going to make the difference. Because if we do nothing, for sure nothing's going to change. And so we have to do something differently in order to get back as to much normalcy as we can.
Agreed. This definitely does take a village. Hey, Lila, I'm gonna come right back to you, Sharon. Lila, we're both in position that we're raising young adults or teenagers, and I still remember when these teenagers was, no pun intended, was wilding out of control.
Right.
Parties, beach parties, dormitories, no mask. I can't get sick. Only older folks can get sick. What's your message? What was the message to your teenager? How did you save your children from becoming a statistic early on?
Well, you have to set down barriers and guidelines as far as what you can do, because once you step outside these doors, I can't control what you do. But if you want to live here, I'm gonna need you to follow guidelines and parameters, and you can't go over everybody's house. You can't go to everybody's graduation party. You just can't do certain things. And you have to take this very seriously. Your health is important to me. My daughter went off to college, so she went away, and so I'm not there. So that was an immediate concern. I was that person disinfecting the entire, dormitory room when I took her to move in, and gave her those life lessons. Made sure that her and her roommate, which was her best friend, so it was a little bit easier of a transition because I could have those real conversations where it wasn't a stranger. But even if it was a stranger, I would have been able to tell her, this is real. I need you to to practice appropriate social distancing. Live in the moment, because I want you to enjoy this experience, but don't live so much that you have to be on top of someone. We can live in this moment 6 feet apart and enjoy ourselves in that regard. And she just had a COVID. They just had a COVID outbreak, and about nine students had caught it from the previous weekend with the celebratory of events after the election. And so they had 9 cases break out, and they isolated those cases. But it's scary because I know that she's not sick, she's not exhibiting any symptoms, but she's also returning home in a few days. So and it's like, nothing's changed here. I had to let her know. We had a long conversation about nothing's changed here. This is still I still need you to practice certain things. We still taking the shoes and outer clothing off at the door, at the porch, leaving it there, coming in, washing hands, removing masks, and and the mask stay in steady rotation in the laundry here, because that's just the precautions that I haven't stopped and I haven't let up on because it's important to me. And I feel like if we do it every day, we live by it, we definitely shouldn't die by it. So that's my message.
Okay.
Keep on living by this one.
Powerful. Sharon, you want to jump in there?
Which
Sharon.
Okay, I was just going to say that it's kind of like before we had to have I saw a question, mandatory seatbelts. We were all riding around just happy, going through windshields, dying, just happy. Can't nobody make me put on a seatbelt, carrying our babies in the front seat, baby going through the windshield. And then when the government mandated, put the seatbelt on, we saw the statistics turn and show that it actually saved some lives. And then when some of us actually had some accidents and we didn't go through the windshield, or there were accidents you heard about where the people in the back didn't put on the seatbelt, but the people in the front did, and the people in the back went through the windshield and died, we started to follow. But it wasn't until it became punishable that the country said, okay. And that's just the kind of society we live in. Until there is a punishment associated with the process, we're not going to get everybody, because we're in a country with free speech, free thought, just do what I want to do. But what I want to say is, for people all around me, I really don't care. I'm selfish when it comes to dying. You cannot wear a mask and die over there. Stay away from me. Because what you do will hinder me. I don't have any teenagers, but I have an 18-year-old grandson who stays up on the 3rd floor. We wave at each other and talk over the stairs, because I can't keep up with what he's doing while I'm at work during the day. And I'm not so sure I should be safe around him, because they let their guard down. But what he does know is that when he sees his grandmother, he needs to go try to find a mask. And I'm always saying, where is your mask? Did you wash your mask? And so we have to, as Lala said, set the standards and hold true to the standards around you. Be selfish about you.
Amen.
So I sort of understand. No, I clearly understand your position. Let me choose my words carefully. But here's a question for the group. Should masks become mandatory in your state and on the federal level? Should mask wearing become mandatory? Sharon Combs?
Honestly, I say yes. I know a lot of people, like here in Texas, we have a lot of Democratic support and Republican support, and then we have what I call Trump support. And some of them, and a lot of them were my colleagues from John Maxwell, so I was kind of surprised by this. But again, if they don't work in this field, then it's kind of that cognitive dissonance again. But, they were getting together, having different rallies and, driving around with the flags and everything in the truck. And I'm like, yeah, okay, cheer your person on. I believe you should be able to cheer your person on. But now what we have in Tarrant County, as of just this afternoon, Tarrant County is a large county. It covers Fort Worth and a lot of other towns. It's a big county. It's huge. They have 4 open ICU beds.
Wow.
4. In the entirety of Tarrant County. And that county is TARRANT for the fact checkers. And that is where that population is strong there. And now there are 4 ICU beds open. So now we have doctors coming out. We have different mayors and governors of different areas. So I do think there should be a cost to it. Like Sharon said, she said punishable, but the cost has to exceed the I don't want to, I guess the privilege, like it has to cost somebody enough that they will consider, because you hope that they would just consider others. But right now, people are so busy, like, you can't make me wear a mask. And it's so focused on me. You can't do this about me. Instead of saying, I don't want to get you sick.
Right.
If you don't want to wear a mask, then don't go around others. You know, don't put yourself in a position to where you, because what you're saying is, I don't care about anybody else other than me. I don't think people realize the selfishness of that. You know, they're so busy trying to think, well, you can't take when I say right, you know, like our rights and our privileges. A lot of people are so afraid, no. And some are from other places where maybe there was some socialist things, and they're like, no, if you give them one thing, they're going to take everything and all that. And so it's like an over response because it's born out of their own deficit. I know the one you don't like when I start talking about human behavior. What I'm saying is they're trying to hold out the cookies because they didn't have no cookies where they came from. But listen, you're making other people sick. Yeah, so I do think the mask should be, I do think there should be a cost to that if you're not wearing a mask.
Okay. I do too. Kind of reminds me of I remember some years ago when people that knew they had HIV and that they would intentionally sleep with someone without using protection, without letting that person know. And I think
all of those.
Yeah. I feel like it's the same line. You know, you don't know. I mean, because right now this is so new, so many people don't know if they have the virus. So yeah, you need to protect yourself, or there needs to be some kind of consequence for that person that's not. Protect yourself, protect others. Like Sharon said, if you don't care about yourself, you need to care about all the other people around.
Right. Yeah. And it doesn't affect us all the same. So if something that affects, you know, I've witnessed it with people that I'm very, very close to. And, you know, one person caught COVID, and then consequently her mother caught COVID, and she was hospitalized with it. And thank God that she was able to recover and there, but she's still on oxygen and things of that nature. So you can't judge by how you got it as how someone else is going to receive it. Mm-hmm. And that is just those dispelling myths that people keep thinking that, well, I ain't going to get it because I'm not around other people that's sick, or I only do this every day or whatever. But it doesn't matter, because it all takes is one interaction with someone that will cause you to get infected, and therefore you don't even know. You could be asymptomatic and bring it home to your children or to a neighbor that are, you know, or your own parents. And next thing you know, they're fighting for their life. They're in the fight for their life at this point for something that you could have avoided. You know,
there was the young man that went to the bar, had the party down in Florida, didn't believe he could get COVID. If he did, he wouldn't die. And just before he died, he said, I shouldn't have gone to the party. It's a little late when you're at the end of the journey. It's kind of like in the Bible, the rich man that wanted God to let him tell his brothers about hell. It was too late. He wanted Lazarus to go and let him know. Listen, you know. But the bottom line is that we have to understand the process. And as COVID is surging yet again, you know, in the book, we said the pandemic, the next time, well, we never got past the pandemic. They're now saying that statistically, it's going to be 2 more years before we completely clear this, because we got to take vaccines that we all looking crazy saying, I'm not going to take the vaccine. Well, what I do know is we haven't been able to get Americans to completely take the flu shot.
Yeah.
And that's been around for over 20 years. And now we coming with saying, hey, we need you to take the flu shot, and we're going to need you to take this vaccine. Vaccines usually take 4 years to be made, to be cleared, to be approved. And now they're going to get EUAs, emergency use authorizations, to say, let's run out here and start inoculating people. And, you know, I'm thinking, wait a minute. Either you all been dragging these diseases along, looking for cures, or what made you find the cure in less than a year? All of a sudden, Ebola's been around since 1976. We didn't even start trying to find a cure until it got on a plane and came to America. COVID dropped in, and we got a cure coming. 95%.
Think about that.
Right.
That's right.
You got to try to get people to take a shot, and they're starting with the healthcare people. I was like, start with the people that didn't mind getting the COVID. Get them the shots first.
How about that? How about that? I totally look. I totally agree that masks should be mandated. However, the penalty and enforcement has to be equal. Okay, because they have laws on the books right now, but for me, it's going to cost me $10. For someone else, it's going to cost a penny. And a case in point, real life example: New York City. We had some of my friends in the Hasidic Jewish community. The entire city was on mandatory lockdown. The entire city was on no gatherings for under 20 people. Certain neighborhoods in New York City had weddings that had 1,800 people. You can look this up. In the middle of COVID, no mask, because it was an infringement on my religious right. It was an infringement on my liberties to move freely without impediment. So I agree with the mandatory mask, but I also would encourage our state and local leaders. Enforcement has to be leveraged. It has to be equal, no matter the community, no matter the shade of day.
I just Tia, I like what Tia Michelle said, because it's true. I just want to submit this. If the worst thing that happens today is I have to put on a mask, I'm having a good day. I don't have COVID. I don't have cancer. For me, I haven't been evicted. I haven't lost, my mortgage is still intact. So if the worst thing that happens to me today is I have to wear a mask, right, I consider myself to still be having a good day. Now, some people may say that's ignorance, or some people may say, you don't know what they're trying to do. Then maybe I don't know and I don't know who they are. Maybe I don't know what they're trying to do. But if that's the worst ask of today, when I know people who have had COVID, there are people who have died from COVID. So it's not like I heard somebody such and such, this is, I know. And so if that's the worst thing, if that's the biggest ask of today, that's an easy fix for me. And also I wanted to say, a lot of people are like, well, I'm not going to do it because they're taking from my rights and this is what they're trying to do. Listen, you see how we're spiking again now? And people are like, well, you can't make me. What that's going to do is push something to a head to where somebody is going to start making. So the very thing that you say that you don't want to happen, you're pushing to make happen. Put on the mask. Let's deal what we got to deal with for these next 18 to 20 months or less, if we all get on board, and let's come on out of this thing.
That's right.
Let's come on out of this thing. You were fighting the wrong battle,
That's right.
We're fighting the wrong battle.
We give out so many what I call jewels on this show. So much real talk, and Sharon just gave another jewel. If I don't see a T-shirt that clearly says, if the worst thing today that happens to me is I have to wear a mask, I'm living a good day, then that means you failed. If I don't see a T-shirt with that on it Friday, someone's not listening up, right? Someone's not listening up.
Lisa's listening. She's gonna do it.
Let's get it. So, Karen Cherry, during COVID, how has, and for everyone, I want everyone to answer this question: how has your leadership approach changed because of this crisis? What do you do different as a leader?
For one, just gratitude to have such a great team, and team is the key word. Because I was listening to Sharon Combs, she was on, I can't remember what podcast, what group you were with, but we're saying people that are leaders, we just say because I said so. And I feel with COVID, we all had to stop and reevaluate where we were with our policies, our processes. And so, and also knowing that alone we couldn't do it, as a leader, as a owner, we needed everyone everyone to understand the importance of what their roles were. And so I feel like with my group, people were empowered a lot more than, because we were working remotely, so empowered to bring their A game for real. We say bring your A game, but yeah. So as a leader, I've felt that, you know, it was hard initially seeing my group out there going to the airports and just being more grateful, showing more gratitude, and just being there in whatever way I could be there to support my team as we continue to research and do what we could to support the facilities.
Okay, Ms. Greene-Golden.
As a leader that was actually in the hospital the whole time, working every day, we didn't have as many surgical cases, but we had surgical cases. And as you all know, we don't just work for surgery. People were still being born. People still need to get their cancer treatments because they didn't have COVID. They couldn't just sit home and die from cancer waiting to see if they were going to get it. It was about transparency, leadership through transparency. Being very transparent with the group as to what was going on at all times, not holding back any untruths, letting them know that how many cases we had in the hospital each day, letting them know how many people died each day, letting them know why it was important that we do what we're supposed to do. As I said in the book, we're supposed to clean our area every day.
Right.
COVID should not have come in for us to start wiping. Now, I don't always get to see my team as they come in, but once COVID came, I was in the middle of the floor and they was grabbing wipes and they was wiping walls and clocks and doors and light switches and their shoes and just wiping so much. I said, were we really doing this much wiping before the COVID? You know, the book always said, clean your area each shift. Mm-hmm. And so what we found is what we weren't doing. What COVID has taught us is that we weren't washing our hands like we're supposed to. We wouldn't have to. My watch now counts down 20 seconds when I hit water. It said wash your hands 20 seconds and it counts it down. I didn't ask it to. It's just starting to do stuff. People were grabbing toilet paper. Apparently we weren't wiping ourselves. We had to get a lot of toilet paper. I don't know I can't get the toilet paper together, but just telling people that you have to do what's right all the time, not just when somebody's looking. So once COVID came in, we were all looking at each other. Did you wash your hands? You just coughed. Go wash your hands. Did you sneeze? We pay attention. If you want to stop a room, cough in a room today.
That's right.
Cough. Start coughing and watch everybody stop and back up and watch you. So the bottom line is that leadership meant telling the truth, being transparent, being vulnerable to the truth, allowing people to talk about how they felt. You know, we come in every morning. How do you feel today? What do you feel? You know, so and so, my friend died. Letting them share, and then at the end of that, saying, "Our job is patient safety. That's what we're here for, and let's do our best today."
Got it. Lila.
I definitely think it for me, looking at my leaders and then and transitioning as a leader. So people looking to you for answers, but then also looking at my leaders for answers and help and how we should navigate this. But I think some of the things that I've started to notice is just that, you know, our system is so weak because at this point, when someone, you know, has an inkling or a symptom, they need to now therefore stay home. And then with contact tracing, right, within the department, even just within our department, well, I ate lunch with so-and-so yesterday and they stayed home because they're getting a COVID test. I need to go home and quarantine. So you can easily have a department go from 30 to 12 in a matter of a day because of people not paying attention to their surroundings, laxing on their protocols, you know, and just simple things like that. And we don't control what people do outside of our environment. So I think that if we were stronger at setting those standards in the beginning, I think people would really they would have taken it so much more seriously in their own personal life, and they would have carried that over into their home, into their neighborhoods, into their churches, into their family. I think it would have carried over, because these are things like Sharon just said, this is what we've been doing, right? We supposed to have been wiping these areas down every day. So I know I wipe down my countertops and the kitchen and clean and mop up every day after I cook a meal and I come home. That didn't stop, and it doesn't change now that we have COVID. But I just realized that more people are stepping inside because I can't find cleaning supplies like I used to either. You know, the aisles are emptying out of those things, disinfectants. Right. So it's just changing our perception. I think that leaders, as a leader, you have to kind of live and preach what you talk about every day, you know, and live by it.
Okay. Sharon Combs. Same question to you.
For me, what it did is I typically teach about the stages of transition. That's one of, like the book Hold Your Form and all of that. So what I did differently as a leader, and I continue to do my utmost to inspire, but I lingered longer when I saw somebody was in fear or in uncertainty, even though they may not have used that language. I looked at the behaviors and different things, and I was very careful not to shame, not to get caught in the land of should and blame. If you think back since March, there's been so much blame and finger pointing, but what I did was I did my utmost to try to have more grace. Even though I was still in the same uncertainty that other people were feeling too, I was aware that I was feeling it, but they may not have known what was driving them. So I just tried to be a lot more graceful with everyone, with the education system. There's no sense in me fussing out a teacher. That teacher doesn't know what's going on. No sense in me fussing out the superintendent. You're supposed to be the superintendent. When are we back in school? He doesn't know. He doesn't know what, this is his first brush with COVID too. And so it's always easy to say what we would do if that was us. If I was the president, I do this. If I was a millionaire, I do this. You don't know. You haven't even been a thousandaire yet. You know what I'm saying? You haven't even been a senator yet. And so I really just tried to have a lot more grace instead of anger, because when people are afraid, they blame, they get angry. And so what I did as a leader was I helped people navigate that without pointing out and being like, you just angry. No, I didn't say you just angry. I just recognized where they were, and I did my best to lead them to a better place or a better space. And I think that's what we can do as leaders sometimes. Sometimes you don't have to let people know, well, this is what I did for you. No, just help. Just help and be graceful. Somebody was graceful to me. Somebody was graceful to you. So, take a knee the right way.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? Take a knee the right way. And that's what I love. I mean, all of these things are in the book. The contact times. Y'all, I want to encourage everybody watching, get the book. Right. The book is only $14.44 for the Power of 4. And for you all who don't know, 4 is great. 4 seasons, 4 quarters, 4 streams in the Garden of Eden. Just, it's a lot of 4s going on, Yes. But go ahead and get the book. It's only $14.44 right now.
Is it for sale?
It's for, and it is for sale. You're right. I think regular price is almost $24, almost $25. So this book is helpful, and it's helpful right now. So you can order it right now and have it, and you could help your family. The holiday season is here, and then you can have something credible. You don't have to work in sterile processing. If you work in sterile processing, get it, period. It's going to be something credible in case you don't know. So when somebody have you doing something crazy, you can just look on through there. Sharon Greene-Golden got a lot of stuff in there about Auntie Amy, some Amy, just things you need.
Yes.
Real stuff you can use for your department on the whole. Behavioral intelligence, education, business. If you're worried about, well, what am I going to do with business? My employees, Karen talks about that. So, man, get this stuff. It helps. Get this book, y'all. It helps. Holidays here.
You know what I'm thinking? Because me and several of my colleagues are planning an event called the Scrub Ball. It may be possible that folks who have a purchased copy of the book, there may be a discount in it for you to enter into the Scrub Ball. So we'll talk about that at another time. But before we depart, I do have one more question. I know we're a little over an hour. 2020 is coming to a close very quickly. If there was a time capsule and you had to place a short, and keep it short, Tim, a short message for someone behind you who wanted to know what was 2020 about, what's your message? Lala Price, lead us off.
2020 was a year of transition, growth, change. I think we all found out a little bit more who we were. And I'm looking forward to the person that I'm going to be in 2021, because I've been through a lot this year.
Okay. Ms. Greene-Golden.
2020 for me was a year of visions coming to fruition. I've sat back and thought about doing things. In 2020, everything going left made me think and realize that we have to live in the moment and don't put things off for tomorrow. We say it always, tomorrow's not promised. Just get it done. And so 2020 for me, if I was leaving a message, would be live in the moment, do what's right always, and be true to yourself.
Got it. Miss Sherry.
I'd say for me, revamping, reinventing, and piggyback on Sharon Greene-Golden. Don't wait till Sunday to wear my good dress. Wear it now.
Gotcha. Miss Sharon.
2020 was a year of vision. You know, when you wear glasses, you buy glasses so it corrects your vision to 2020. I feel like 2020 corrected a whole lot of people's vision. Everybody think they were seeing things right, in 2020 let you know, no, your vision been off. You know, some of the areas we focused in, the things we gave priority, even our heroes, you know what I'm saying? Basketball stopped, you saw different things. All of that stuff got real thin real quick, and we began to see what really matters. So I feel like 2020 helped us to see, to see for real.
Yes.
Gotcha. Well, my message will be for 2020 is simple: love harder. Right. Just love harder. This has been an amazing conversation. Look at all of the comments coming in. So great job. We have to get this all-star cast coming up. Like I said before, you held this secret so tight-lipped. I thought I was gonna know. I thought I knew all of the power brokers. So good job there. Sharon?
Hey, so can we for the book? We do want people to have the book. Again, like I said, Sharon Greene-Golden, thanks for spearheading this, and Karen, I was so honored to. So do we want to do a special? It's on sale $14.44. Do we give people a couple of hours? Whoever buys it before midnight, maybe 2 for 1.
Hey,
yes,
I want to do something. The first 10 people to say something that they want the book and they can't afford it, I will buy 10 copies right now for 10 people. Just inbox me, follow me. And I have 10 copies that I will gladly give up paperback books.
Can we get your cell phone number? We're gonna inbox you right now. We're gonna take care of that right now.
Information will be on the link, but just reach out to me. I will gladly. I think it's so important that people have it. I want to give it to someone who may not be financially prepared to make this purchase right now, but
I want you to can afford it. Yeah, cool.
I want you to have it.
All right. Well, then I'm gonna say that, guys. Anybody who buys it before midnight Pacific time tonight, the link is up there. You get 2 for 1. And who will cut it off is me. Don't call it 12:01. Do it by 12.
Is that Central Time? No.
Right.
Listen, let me just say before we go that the other thing that we did do, we were very fortunate and honored to have Corey Ofstad, renowned epidemiologist, to do a foreword, and Julie Williamson of Isham, the editor, publisher, she's an author within her own right, did a foreword for our book. And that meant so much to us because they had to read the book first and see if it had any merit. And for them to be willing to put their name in our book means it's worth something, people. So support us. Support our initiative. Get the book.
Your people too. Support your people. The book is the book is gonna help.
Get the book. Y'all buying the Inquirer. Buy my book, please. Buy the book. Till midnight. Sharon says she's gonna give you 2 for 1.
Yeah, and sure, don't be trying to hold both books for you. Give it to somebody in your family. Everybody doesn't work in sterile processing. Some people still think you can sterilize a mask.
Yes. Support the creative genius of P4. The fact that we put this together usually takes people years. They get writer's block. They write the book for 20 years. God blessed us to do this book, like the vaccine, in less than 8 months. It must be something about quickness. Let's do this. Thank you.
Wait a minute. If you have the cloth mask, there are filters you can get on Amazon. Just to let you know. A little more barriers, we were saying, N95 is not necessarily for you if you're not on front line with the patient, but get a filter that you can put in that mask and give you extra protection.
That's right. Hey, team, knowledge and nonsense, nuts and bolts conversation. We so appreciate this ensemble. This conversation was amazing. Catch us next time. Same bat time, same bat channel, except on Saturday. Sharon, take us out.
All right, you guys be safe. God bless.
Thank